This is the fourth video in my Mod 15 series for AEP 800, 5 new technologies. The technology I'm going to focus on this time is Google Forms. I have become absolutely infatuated with Google Forms. There is something that I'm going to show you right now that I just figured out how to do attendance in a way that is, for me, incredibly helpful, and hopefully it's got some things in it that you can find useful as well. What I'm going to start off with is we will go to the form itself. So I'm going to start here in my Google Drive, go to my recent stuff, and track attendance. So again, I'm a track coach, so that's what this is primarily being used for me personally. This is a tool that I use primarily for myself and the other coaches, but the students also have the opportunity to see and to monitor their own grades, and if you wanted to include that, their own participation and the days and, essentially their attendance. I don't use any grade thing for this, but you could certainly include that in this, and that could be another way to use and manipulate this. So this is not original to me. I got some help with this off the internet, but essentially what you have is you've got a form, and it is a form with a multi-grid matrix style of answering the question, and then there's a comment section here at the bottom. So I'll start over from the beginning and show you how I originated this form, but I want to go through it first so that you can see exactly what it is and why I think it's so exciting for me personally. So here's the form. If I'm gonna go out to practice, what I'll actually do is I'll pull up a pre-filled link with this form in it, and I can just go through and click. The pre-filled link that I use is already marked present because that's the majority of the clicks, and when you're dealing with 40-something kids, that's certainly easier. So then I just have to go through and mark excused, unexcused, late, or other if a kid is not there on time. The mobile version of this looks excellent. It's easy to use, easy to get through. If for some reason a kid's name's not on here, I need to make extra comments or something like that, I did give myself a second question on this form for that opportunity. So here's what the form looks like. Again, if you want a pre-filled link, all you have to do is go over here and there it is. Excuse me. So over here on your three dots, you got a pre-filled link. So it will open up, ask you how you want it to show. And then what I've done is I've saved this hyperlink as a note on my phone. So every day I can open this up in exactly the same way, and then I can manipulate it. You click on Get Link, and then it gives you a link. It copies it to the clipboard. You do have to fill all of them in, but then that's something that I can go back and manipulate a little later. I can also edit my responses if somebody were to come out late. So let me show you how the responses are shown, and that will give you the better indication of why I'm so excited about it at this time. Okay, so here I've got the kids all listed across the top here. I've got their excused, unexcused, present, late, and other in attendance here. And I've got it color-coded, so those are just, conditional formatting settings that I have added to this. And then here at the bottom, I've got totals that are auto-populating as this is getting filled out. So I don't have to wonder, what kid is missing certain practices or how many total practices a kid gets. The way that this is set up, you can see the formulas here. Total practices is the present field and the late field combined because they are at practice that day. Excuses are anytime one of these fields here say excused, it will count that. Anytime one of them says unexcused, it will count that. So you can see here, if I put in present, it will automatically change green, and that's just a color representation of what, and then you can see below that all the numbers changed as well. So for me, this is a great useful tool. I've got 2 of these here today that I used in close succession to each other. So I'm going to go back through tomorrow and clean these up and delete the one that is that was not used, which was this first one, and that way I've got a good clean record of today's attendance. So let's start off with a new Google form. Okay, so if we want to start off with a blank one, we've got questions. You can title your form. So test form. You can put in a description, anything that you want. Then you just start asking questions. You can decide whether or not you want these questions to be required or not before they go on. This is a great way to make quizzes. This is a great way to do surveys, things of that nature. There are a plethora of ways to answer. You can do short answers, paragraphs. The one that we were talking about before, multiple choice grid. There's a checkbox grid, linear scale, and so on and so forth. So for ours, we'll just use option 1. Option 2 is just a multiple choice 2, and just to show the process of actually creating a form. So if you wanted to, let's say that you were doing a subject form or a quiz for a class, something along those lines, then you could very easily just duplicate each question, and then it'll come right back with what it was. If you wanted a brand new question, you just hit the plus. You can start on that. You can change the title if there's a description. Let's say that this one is more subjective, or you want to say, I want you to look out in this video for what happens 2 minutes in, and then write a little bit about it. You can put all that stuff here with this title and description phase. You can add images to it. So if you click image, you can do that from your webcam. You can search for it. You can do it from your Google Drive. Videos, you could use a YouTube video. So we could put AEP 800 and see what comes up. And then there's all sorts of stuff from AEP 800 students. So we could attach a video to that. They could use that to answer the questions, so on and so forth. Really neat tool. You could add a separate section to the test, so on and so forth. So when you preview it, this is what it'll look like. You click on it, you hit submit, and then all those things get added into the responses. The responses can be shown on this view, or you can create a spreadsheet, which is the way that I'm familiar with manipulating it. So you don't have to do it that way, but you can. You can just look at the responses in this fashion. If you wanted to make this a quiz, you could do that. You could say, make this a quiz, and then it will actually give you the opportunity to say, do you want to see their grade after they've done it, or if you want to have an opportunity to manually review it rather than auto grade it from the Google form auto grading system. So that's about it. That's the way that I use this on a regular basis. I will show you, in the last video I showed you the daily announcements. I'm going to show you the Google form for our daily announcements. Let's see here. Okay, so that's the form that we use our daily announcements. So all you have to do on this one, again, you can see there's been quite a significant number of responses. This is going back for a couple years now. But all you have to do is put in the response that you want or the announcements that you want, and then that goes over to that thing that I showed you before in the last video on the spreadsheet where the announcements are that I use, that our whole domain has the opportunity to see. So pretty exciting stuff. There's an example of some of the way that these things show up and some of the ways that you can evaluate some of the content. The two standards that I believe this qualifies for is ISTE 7C and 6A. So I believe that meets those qualifications. And this is something that is part of my daily workflow, and hopefully this has been of value to you. Thank you, and goodbye.